day, Maswati Lamahle. Once again, we're doing Finance in Focus, just to appreciate everyone that does look at these, just to get a better understanding of what we do in the Ministry of Finance and what's going on. So today I'll cover 2 or 3 little topics. The first one is the midterm budget review that I was in Parliament for this week, and I tabled it and I explained where we are. And so obviously understanding that is the end of September. And so as the end of September, things were really on track in the country. We haven't got major problems in that sense. Collections were going okay, obviously still a bit under from a tax collection point of view, but the first 6 months of the year is normally a bit slow. Normally we do a lot better in the second 6 months of the year, and so we believe that the gap will be closed. There's an increase obviously in expenditure and an increase in tax. I think I saw the newspapers talking about this. Last year this time we collected about 7 billion. This year it's about 7.7 billion. Understanding that this year overall we're collecting about 2 billion more tax than we did last year. So those numbers continue to increase, and we do appreciate ERS doing that without us having to increase actually the tax amounts for people. That's really broadening the tax base and making it better to pay tax. And so from a midterm budget review perspective, I think at that point we didn't have a big problem. Obviously the salary review has come in after that, and the salary review has caused our cash flow to be very constrained again. So as I sit here now, as I'm reporting, our cash flow is constrained. Fortunately, we have these 2 loans coming through, these ones for arrears clearance, and when they come in, we'll definitely be able to pay all the suppliers when those loans get paid. The loans have been through Parliament now. His Majesty has signed the loan bills. They've been gazetted now, and now we're busy finalizing the loan agreements with the OPEC Fund and African Development Bank. And when those are done, hopefully 2-3 weeks time, that money will come in and we'll be in a much better position, and we'll be able to settle all of our arrears at that point. And so, but again, because of over expenditure now in the year, we're going to be doing quite a harsh process to try and reduce expenditure for the rest of the year. So the balance of the year, it's going to be very tight. We're looking at a lot of budget cuts to make sure by the time we get to the end of the year, we are not over our expenditure. So even though as we sit here now in November, we are over our budget expenditure, but hopefully with the clamping down expenditure, we will get back on track by the time we get to the end of March. So that's just the current situation on where we are more or less on that front. Otherwise, IFMIS is going very well. So IFMIS, there was still a little bit of maneuvering to see, do we do this coming year's budget in IFMIS or don't we? And everyone has now really put their heels in to say we are doing IFMIS this coming year, meaning that we've got a whole nother digital system that we are doing the budget on. Obviously, we are transforming the way we are doing our paperwork in government from a very paper-driven process to a digital system. The country of Rwanda is helping us to do this integrated financial management system, which IFMA stands for, and we are very much all now motivated to do this next budget on this new system. And so there were still lots of issues, and I'm sure we're going to have lots of issues with it. But we've had a lot of training. The Rwanda team is in country with us to really make sure that if we have troubles, that we're going to get through this. But really, at the end, we're going to have a fantastic financial system in government, and there actually won't be paperwork anymore. Actually, from when something wants to, even from the budget process, all the way through to procurement, all the way through to checking, all the way through to tender, all the way through to ultimate payment at Treasury, it's a paperless system. It's transparent. It's going to keep people answerable. So if someone is sitting on it, the system says, after 3 days, it's now your green light turns to yellow, and another day later it turns to orange, and at some point it becomes red, and the supervisor gets notified. It's a very clever system to make sure everyone just does what they're supposed to do in that whole system from beginning to end, from finances. And by the time it's finished, paid for, it's already in the set of accounts. At the press of a button, we get the set of accounts. We are also moving over to IPSIS, which means from a cash accounting system to an accrual accounting system, which is now going to give us a lot of depth into how we see it. Anyway, a little bit complicated, but the bottom line is we are on track. We're going to be doing our new budget in IFMIS, and it's going to be a phenomenal change we're making in government from so many sectors. And just if there's any possible corruption in the system, this system is going to now be able to stop a lot of possible corruption that there might be. As well as people just holding on to invoices and just doing stuff in the system that is not right. IFMIS is really going to sort this out, and we're all very excited about installing IFMIS. It's going to be tough, but we need to push through and make sure that everything is done. And we can't go back to the old ways. So because we've got a whole new set of accounts, budgeting on it, actually there's no reverse now. We just have to continue going forward and actually push it in. So which means from the 1st of April, we are going to be having our whole government running on this new system. But as we speak, the budget is being done in it. At the same time, we are now actually starting the budget process, the actual budget process within government. And so the budget call circular has gone out, meaning that as Ministry of Finance, we tell all the ministries, please let us know what you feel you need in your budget. Unfortunately, next year is going to be a very tight year because of the salary review that's taken place. A lot of our possible growth we are having next year is going to be gobbled up by the increase in salaries, which is a decision that's been made, so we're not complaining about that, but it just means there's probably not much room next year for much other expenditure except for the salary review process that has now been agreed upon. And so for that reason, obviously we're going to go through the whole budget process, but because there isn't much headroom, one can call it, it is going to remain a bit tight for us ministries to be able to add anything that we would like to do additional to what we are currently doing. So obviously what we're going to try and do is just try and be more efficient, try and bring in efficiency gains to try and have some room for us to be able to grow with. But the budget process, so it goes from a budget call circular to where each ministry then presents to PBC, which is the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Economic Planning, and the Ministry of Public Service. We listen to them, we take their budgets, we then see what we can or can't do in their budgets, have bilaterals with the ministries, that then gets formulated into a draft budget, that then goes through PBC, the different stages of PBC, through the ministers, then it goes to Cabinet. Once it's been to Cabinet, and Cabinet approves it, it then goes down to Parliament. Parliament looks at it, obviously it goes through the stages, it ultimately gets to His Majesty, hopefully before the end of March, and His Majesty signs off, and we end up starting the 1st of April with a new budget. Anyway, so we've just started the process now, even though it feels like we still have a few months. It is very tight actually because there are so many processes, and I'm skipping half of them, that we need to go through before we actually have the budget actually ready for the government. But within the ministry, it's now a frantic time for us, and all the ministries are working on their budgets for the following year. So no, that's it from our side. That's what's keeping us busy at the Ministry of Finance this week, and we'll update you again next week. Thank you.